Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for taking some time for me today. Very excited to be meeting with you and sharing a little bit more information about MGT. We may have a couple folks from my team joining. We've got a lot of stuff going on. Worst case scenario, though, you'll be stuck with me today. And I'm really looking forward to showing you a little bit more about MGT and how everything works. Quick invitation all along the way as we go through this presentation today. Please, I'd invite you to use the chat feature if you have any questions or want to dig into something that you're hearing about. It should be right towards the bottom middle of your screen, maybe right around here, just depending on how everything's laid out. Use that and you can ask any questions. And there are a few places along the way where I'll pause and make sure to answer those. And then before we wrap up, we'll wrap up with the Q&A. So just quick introduction. My name is Dan Coakley, the partner activation leader here at MGT. You can think of me as your MGT fixer as you're getting up and running with us. And the party can really get started now. Jason, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm also from MGT. Um, my name is Jason. I am head of business development, I think is my official title. I just get to hang out with Dan and agents all day, and I absolutely love what I do. It's my favorite time of the week because we get to chat with you all here and show you a little bit more about why we're so passionate about what we do, encourage you to get signed in and get quoting with us so you can be just as passionate as we are. So thanks for so much for attending. Dan, thanks for letting me say hi.
Absolutely. So, yeah, let's go ahead and we'll give everybody else who's not quite as on time as you all who are already in the meeting, we'll give them a few more minutes to get signed in before we really get things kicked off. But I always like to open up with a question, and please use the chat feature to drop your answers. Always curious, we're getting to the time of year where it's starting to get a little bit nicer, gives us a chance to get outside, enjoy our recreation time. When you have a chance to do something out of your office, do you like to go to the beach? Do you like to go to the mountains or somewhere else? Use that chat feature and let us know.
Where do you like to go, Dan?
I am actually, despite having set up this question with the options of beach and mountains, I'm actually a river guy. I love to go to our river. It runs right through the middle of the city here in Richmond and hang out on the banks, catch some sun, or get my stand-up paddleboard and take that out on the water.
Yeah, that's right. Have you started that club back up again?
Not quite yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's almost the season. I'm ready to go.
Now, remind me, this is Dragon Boat, is that right?
Stand-up paddleboard.
Stand-up paddleboarding. We got another person on our team who does Dragon Boat. That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
And looks like we've got Nathan on the call who has a cabin out in Colorado. Nathan, how many quotes do you have to run with us for me to get an invite?
Yeah, that's because I won't invite him out, y'all.
One. I love
I don't have a cabin. I have a house in Colorado, and Dan is not welcome.
it.
So y'all are gonna have to invite him. No, I'm just kidding. Dan's welcome anytime. Yeah, so for me, it's the woods, and you know this, Stan. I love being out in the woods. Lately, which is probably oversharing. Y'all can see like I with my all of my different accoutrements. I actually like the creative side of things, right? So I recently have started like crafting myself like a bag for all my art supplies so that I can take those out on the road and just go like sketching and crocheting and drawing and painting and all that other stuff like out in the wilderness in the wild, which really just means like a park bench down the street. But that's where my heart is, man. That's where I can't wait now that the weather's warming up to get out and do.
Hey, when you're in Colorado, any random park bench is honestly one of the most beautiful views you could
Yes,
possibly imagine.
I feel very
So don't
fortunate.
undersell it.
Yeah, for sure. We got Sarah saying backyard pool with the kiddos and neighbors. That sounds
Heck
incredible.
yeah.
That sounds incredible. I miss that from back home. I grew up in Ohio and all of my family is there. And so we would do stuff like that all the time. So whereas I'm very blessed to be in Colorado, I do miss that back in the Midwest with all my family.
And wherever you like to spend time when you get a chance to step away from your desk, what I hope to show you this afternoon is how you can actually get more time back in your week to do all those great things that give life meaning and make it worth living, but not have to make the trade-off of spending less time selling insurance. Because ultimately that's why we're all here, right? So let's go ahead and get things kicked off. I will share my screen and we'll get this party started.
And while Dan's doing that, just a quick reminder, we love questions. Please ask as many as you like. It allows us to interact with you and get you the information that's actually directly pertinent to what you need. So drop those questions in the chat.
And with MGT, the era of neo insurance has arrived. I'm sure many of you now are sitting at your screen saying, Dan, we've been on this call for 3 minutes. You're already throwing buzzwords at me. What does neo insurance mean? The reality is we're the first neo insurer, so it may not be a term you're familiar with yet, but you can kind of think of what we're doing here in the context of the wider industry. We all are familiar with insurance carriers, and these companies have been doing great things, for hundreds of years at this point, protecting businesses and livelihoods. But as they've grown and as they've evolved over all that time, their number one priority has not always been speed and ease of doing business. Over the last several years, you've had different insure techs joining the space. There's a lot of different ways they can be organized: MGAs, MGUs, the whole alphabet soup, wholesalers, fronting companies. But I think once you peel away the buzzwords and start to dig into what they actually do, they take a nice layer of technology, use that as your interface to work with these legacy operations. And it's great when it's great, but they don't really have full control over the process because of the way they're organized. And because they don't have that full control, it's hard to deliver a truly delightful experience through the entire life cycle of the policy. That's where MGT is different. We are the carrier. We stand behind the risks that we underwrite through our platform. And because we're the carrier and because we're built on a foundation of modern technology, we control everything from setting the actuarial rules and guidelines through we built the platform. It's actually our technology. We're not licensing someone else's tech. We adjust the claims when claims happen. And so, because of all these moving parts and all these steps in the process that we have ownership of, we can deliver to you and to our mutual clients a really delightful experience through the entire process of quoting, binding, and actually using the insurance. So, a couple quick facts about MGT. We are rated A minus by AM Best, which is an excellent financial strength rating. We're also writing all of our policies on ISO forms, which are the most legally tested forms on the market. And anytime you've ever taken a designation or a licensing test, if it's referencing policy language, really, really good bet it's referencing ISO policy language. What I think you'll all really appreciate is we built a zero friction, 100% digital process. There are no Accord forms, no supplemental applications, no 3 week long back and forth email chains with underwriting teams trying to firm up details and negotiate terms. In fact, using our platform, you can receive a bindable quote in just a few minutes. We also have a wide footprint. We're admitted today in 44, 45 states, plus Washington, D.C., and growing. So some quick numbers here, and I'll leave these up on the screen for a second, but the one I want to talk about the most is in the first quarter this year, our platform had 100% uptime. What that means is 100% of the time, somebody needed to access our platform to quote, bind, issue a policy, to answer someone's questions, to help somebody make a payment, all those things and more. If somebody needed help, our tech was ready to step up. It wasn't causing loading screens and, never-ending pages of errors. We have built a really stable platform that's there to meet your needs whenever you need to use it. So as far as our appetite goes, we are writing over 300 classes of business, including professional and medical offices, retail stores, wholesalers and distributors, barbershops, beauty parlors, nail salons, bakeries, grocery stores, convenience stores, restaurants up to 50% alcohol sales, and more can all be a great fit with MGT. We are focused on small business, and to us, that means up to 3 million revenues for most risks, up to 5 million revenues for professional and medical offices. We're writing businesses with up to 100 employees. Up to 30,000 square feet is a good rule of thumb. There can be a little nuance there. Up to 2 million total insured value per location, with up to 4 locations per policy. And don't hold yourself back and only think of us for the most nice, neat, perfect risks you've ever seen. We are able to accept new ventures, businesses with no prior insurance, coverage lapses, claims history can all be eligible as well. So I'd encourage you to submit those too and see how easy we can make it for you. So just talking coverage, we have a lot of really great options that you can add on to the BOP. I still catch myself occasionally saying we just write the BOP or we write just the BOP. The reality is we can do a lot more than just the BOP. We've got some great ones here. A couple of the most impactful are the professional liability. That's very compelling for barbershops, beauty parlors, and nail salons. Also available for photographers. Hired non-owned auto. It's available for artisan contractors. It's available for restaurants that aren't doing any self-delivery. It's available for a lot of our retail and office classes as well. So I'd encourage you to check that out. We've got workers' comp stopgap coverage. If anyone's joining us from a monopolistic state, I had to learn exactly what that means. So I always like to highlight that one when I can. And then some other great coverages as well. We do have some different optional coverages and sublimits available as part of the policy too. I won't spend too much time here because I know everyone that's joining us has a license to sell this stuff. But what is really important to know is that when you're working through a quote in our platform and you see the options for these coverages, the platform will only show you bindable options for those sublimits and deductibles. So you can always feel good. Any quotes you get back at the end of the process are quotes that you can stand behind. For restaurants, we do have some specific coverages available. They've got access to higher limits for spoilage and contamination. They've got the premises security limits available, higher non-owned auto that we discussed. If they're doing any valet operations, they can actually get damage to customers' autos coverage. So really important to look at there. And then for contractors, the way we handle them, I think, is actually kind of interesting. We're not writing monoline GL for them. We're writing a BOP policy. And because it's a BOP, there's some additional coverages that they automatically get, like their coverage for miscellaneous tools and equipment, contractors installation coverage. I actually see a good number of our policies being issued with building coverage as well to maybe cover an office or storage space that they're using for their business operations. And so now let's go ahead and take a look at how everything works. And just another quick reminder, if you do have any questions along the way, please shout those out in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer those as they come in.
My favorite activity on these is to see if we can stump Dan. And y'all, we don't do that very often. So ask your
It's
tough ones
true.
too. We're happy to try to answer those as well.
It's true. It happened back on, I think it was April 6th, and I know that because Jason reminds me every time we have a one-on-one meeting
I
together.
didn't today though. I didn't. I was good today.
So before we jump into the platform itself, I always like to start on our website. For those of you following along on another screen, that's mgtinsurance.com. And if you navigate there, click into the BOP Appetite tab. This is a great resource that's available to you. You can see a map of all the states where we're admitted and writing business. But the most important part is if you scroll down, you can actually connect with our AI appetite assistant, Amy. Amy's a really helpful resource. I think one of the most persistent problems in the industry is kind of tracking appetite and the fact that it's hard to really get specific answers until you do an entire submission about a risk. But with Amy, we can ask all kinds of questions. Let's say, can you write a pool supply store in, I don't know, let's just say Salem. And so inspired by Sarah's backyard pool, if you needed to maybe quote the business that's selling you pool supplies. You could check with Amy to see if that's something that's in appetite for us. She knows our appetite on a class level, a state level, but also knows some of the more fine details as well. So you could really dig into a risk and make sure that's going to be a great opportunity before you do all the legwork of the actual submission. The real fun, though, that's going to start when we click sign in here in the upper right-hand corner and get logged in to the platform. From here, you'll have some different options to start a quote. You can use the user management page to build your team. We do support both agent, producer, and support roles. So, however your team likes to work, if you all want to share a login, we've got nothing against that. If you want to have everybody set up with their own login credentials, we support your team in the way that they need to work through the platform. Also, if you have any other appetite questions, once you do get logged in, then you've got a quick resource to start getting answers to those questions too. One other thing that I'll highlight is if we look in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, we've got a little chat box icon, and you can use this to communicate back and forth with our support team. They are available by phone, they are available through email, but I do like to recommend reaching out through chat when that's an option because it gives them some extra context as far as what page you're on, if you're working on a specific quote. And so it just makes it a little bit easier for them to actually get you those quick answers that you need when you reach out. So let's go into the fun part. We'll go ahead and start a new quote. And then I'm going to run a quote for one of my favorite businesses here. I find this business just joins me all the time for these demos, and I always really appreciate it. So we will start typing in that name, and you'll see as we type it in, you've got the keyword search coming back to help us narrow down and really get the bullseye here. I have found that keyword search is pretty accurate and pretty complete. Every once in a while, you'll be working on a business that's totally off the grid. They won't come up. If that ever happens, just click on Enter Business Info manually, and then you can key in their name and their address. So let's go ahead and start the quote. You can see our technology was actually able to classify this business for us. Found deli or sandwich shop. That's actually dead on for Jason's Deli. But if we did need to change it, all you have to do is click into that, start typing other keywords, and then you'll see more class codes pop up, and then you can select the one that will best describe that risk. But I think deli was right on the money, so we'll keep that, and then we'll click into continue. What's happening behind the scenes as this page loads, our platform is going to dozens of different data vendors. We're finding over 3,900 different data points on this business, and we're using that to pre-qualify the risk, to pre-fill some of these application questions, and also to surface important information to our underwriting team. So for risks that do refer, our underwriting team has access to the important details immediately without having to go search for them. So you can see a couple of these questions are always going to be the same when we first start out. Do they have any claims? Do we need building coverage? We'll keep these as they are and click continue. And then in this next page, you'll see it's starting to pre-fill some of these questions for us. So it knows some details about how they cook. It knows they're not operating out of a hotel or an apartment building. The Jason's Delis I'm familiar with. I don't think I typically see alcoholic sales there. Maybe they had a little though. We can always include, a small amount. And so as you go through this, I do like to say trust but verify. We're pretty confident in the answers that our tech finds, but if you ever notice something looks a little bit off, nobody knows that risk better than you. And to update it is as easy as keying in the correct information. So we'll click continue here to go into the next page. You'll see it's finding some more details about this business. And again, let's say, 35 employees is probably accurate for a business like this, but let's say we know it's actually 10. Again, to update it is as easy as just keying in the right numbers. So we'll click continue again. Now, this does happen, I find, a lot for restaurants where something about the the online presence or the way that it's searching will identify special events. If this ever happens and they do not need special events coverage, just enter a 0 for the number of events annually, and then there won't be any special events included on the policy. If they do need special events coverage, then we can include that on the BOP, even including some host liquor liability. Let's go ahead and give them some sales and click continue. And then in the next page, this is where we'll add any additional insured details. Now, we can't always go through and add an additional insured after the policy is issued, but there can be some additional premium for the additional insured. And so I do like to recommend if you know they'll need it, just include it up front. And that way the quote that you get back will be fully accurate. To add the additional insured, we'll just click the button, select the type of additional insured, and then key in their name and address, answer a couple questions, and then that will be included on our quote. I'll just take that off for now and click continue. And then in this next page is where we'll enter any building information. Now, I like to set up my submissions as business personal property when I do these demos, just because it's a little bit faster and more streamlined. But if you're quoting something with building limits, this page is honestly kind of magical. It's going to pull a lot of details that saves you a lot of time from having to go back and research these buildings. I know a lot of times the property owners or the business owners don't even always know the construction year or other details. And so let our tech step into that gap and help you complete the submission and feel confident as you go through. You can see it found the square footage. It identified it as joisted masonry. It can identify whether they have automatic sprinklers or not. And then it's coming preset at 100,000 BPP. Let's just say for our purposes, we know it's actually 75. Again, to update that, we'll just key in the updated information. I'll click continue again. And then if we need to make any edits to the additional insured page or to that building information, you can always click this little pencil icon to add update those details. If you need to add any buildings, just click the add building button. Then we'll click continue together. One last question, which is just would they like to opt out of TRIA coverage? We'll keep it on, and then we'll click continue one last time. And now it will load our quote. So always takes a little bit longer when you've got me narrating along the way. But I think we actually did complete that one in maybe 8 minutes. Now you'll see how easy it is to make adjustments and then actually get it bound too. So we have got our premium back. You can see if we scroll down, you've got access to quick details about what's on the quote and what's actually included on the policy. If we need to make adjustments to any of these sublimits, just select the drop-down box to do that. And again, you'll only see bindable options in these drop-down boxes. I always like to recommend scrolling to the bottom. That's where you'll have all the optional coverages and endorsements. Maybe we want to add in some higher non-owned auto. If we make these changes, you'll see here in the upper right-hand corner that the premium will update for us live as we go through. So you can make a few different changes, really get an idea for the scale and the scope of how that will affect the premium, and just help the client pick the option that is going to be best for them. Once we've got all of our changes made, you'll see this updates for us here, and then we'll click update quote, and that actually locks in those changes. Now, this is what we would consider to be the active version of the quote. And if we download the quote letter, it'll reflect those changes that we just made together. So looks like we got a question in. Let's go ahead and take this, and then we'll go through the binding process.
Perfect.
Pam, sorry, go ahead.
No, you do it now.
I'm just so excited. I love the questions. So Pamela reached out, said, I'm located in Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida. Are there any coastal restrictions in place for Florida? The most accurate answer here is we're actually not writing in Florida. So I do appreciate you joining us, but unfortunately, that's one of the states that we're not planning to release our admitted product in at this time, Florida and Hawaii. But we got another question, writing in New Mexico, and the answer to that is an enthusiastic yes. We absolutely are.
Dan, could you please go over coastal really quick for those who
Yes.
are not in Florida, perhaps?
So for agents in coastal states, I think we actually have a really interesting value proposition here. We do not write buildings in coastal areas. So it's just not available to even exclude wind for that building coverage. We just step back and say we're not going to be the best resource for that risk. That can generally be tier one and tier two counties, but there can be a little nuance there too. The nice thing is the platform will tell you how how it is handling those risks. What's really interesting though is that we can write a BOP with business personal property coverage right up to the water line. And when we're writing it that way, there's no separate wind hail deductible. It's just one all other perils deductible. So really good question. So let's go ahead and click continue to bind. We'll confirm the effective date, and then we'll enter in the policyholder's contact information.
And real quick, while you're doing that, Nathan dropped in that he has a restaurant and B&B that he wants to do there. Now, Nathan, we're gonna be a great fit for restaurants. Bed and breakfast, we don't really do any sort of like habitational risks right now. So just a heads up. But restaurants, we write those all day long. It's one of our best classes.
Absolutely. So what we've done here is just entered in the policyholder's contact information. One thing I do see a lot of our agents doing, especially for their first couple submissions, is they'll actually enter in their own email address in this bottom field and CC themselves on all the policy communications. You don't have to do that. We will include you on the important communications, and you can also keep track of everything through the platform. But if you want that extra layer of security and comfort, I'd encourage you to do that so you could feel good as you're getting those first policies on the books. Now we'll click confirm and send to insured, and then that is going to send an email over to the applicant with a link that they can use to finalize the policy purchase. What you'll see on your screen is actually a way to keep track of what's happening with that link once it's been sent out. And I actually have my inbox pulled up. I just got that email with the link to finalize everything. So it is a very fast process. So you'll see these check boxes will check off for us as we go through. And if you're ever working with somebody who doesn't get that link, maybe they just need a little extra assistance to get everything over the finish line, you can click copy share link here in the upper right-hand corner. Then you can send that out as an email. You can send it out as a text, or what I'll do here is just open up a new tab and paste it in. And then you'll see what this looks like from the policyholder's perspective. From here, all we'll do is select our payment terms. We are a direct bill carrier. We support quarterly or monthly payments with no additional financing charges. So let's go ahead and select quarterly. One of my favorite features here is you can click view payment schedule and you can see exactly when each payment is due and how much it will be for. I know there can be a lot of confusion and a lot of different ways different carriers handle these payments. And so it's nice just to have that extra security of being able to know to the day and to the penny when everything will be due. Now we'll click continue. And then in the next page is where we'll e-sign all of our policy documents. This is a really great process that replaces that song and dance we've all had to do where you have to download documents, print them out, sign them, scan them, upload them, send them to somebody else who has to do the exact same thing, and then send them to an underwriter who's going to review them in 3 to 5 business days. For us, and when you're working with MGT, all you have to do is give it the squiggle. Everybody always loves how easy this is. We'll agree to e-signing, and then you can click Start Signing to go through page by page and review everything, or you can click Sign All to knock it all out in one click of a button. And so in about 45 seconds, we've replaced that whole long process that I have seen take days and days. All those documents then get emailed over to the applicant, so they'll have signed copies for their records. They'll be emailed to you as well, and then you'll also have them available in the platform if you or if anybody else on your team needs to go reference those in the future. Final step here is to collect payment. We do accept credit, debit, or ACH. It's pretty universal these days that payment vendors charge a fee for their services. That's the case here too. So I always like to give a heads up. These can vary based on the type of payment as well as the payment method and the installment frequency. But rule of thumb, ACH is almost always more cost effective. So we'll go ahead and select ACH. We'll enter in the account holder's information. Auto pay is automatically selected. You can always unselect it if you need to, but I like to recommend keeping it on because it does help retention. We'll check the box, complete transaction. And now we've got that invoice number, so we know that the payment has gone through. And if we go back into this page, you'll see now that this box is checked off. The policy is bound, and we can click into View Policy Details to access the policy information page. This page is one of the most favorite things that we've ever done for a lot of service teams out there. This just gives you a ton of information and makes it easy to help somebody who needs some extra assistance. You can see the policyholder contact info. You've got high-level details of what is actually on the policy. You can see when their payment is due. Click View Schedule to see the status of those payments, and again, when it will be due and what the installment will be. You can download invoices and receipts. It'll show you if auto pay is active. You can also download those signed documents here. And then if somebody just has a quick question, what's my BPP limit? You can, in just a click, get answers to that question without having to go dig through 85 pages of policy documents. If we scroll up from here, we've also got the quick actions button, and that's got some great options. You can generate a certificate of insurance. There's also typically an option to send an automated payment reminder as well. And I know service teams love that feature because it just takes a big load off their shoulders. So again, always takes a little bit longer when you've got me narrating along the way, but I think it was maybe about 15, 20 minutes where we went from logging in to start the policy to bound and issued. I'm not sure about any of you out there, but I've definitely spent longer than that filling out the accords just to get a submission looked at. So a couple quick examples of policies that we've bound. I think these will give you a good idea of what our appetite is and where we'll be in assistance to you. We did an electronics retailer in Texas. This was actually a cell phone store in Houston. 1 mil, 2 mil GL, 75,000 in BPP, came into 750, which is our minimum premium in the state. And they actually had a non-renewal and they replaced that with a bound. ISO form, no theft exclusions, no theft sublimits policy in 9 minutes. We did a convenience store in South Carolina, 1 mil, 2 mil GL, 75,000 BPP, came into about 3,500 in annual premium. They completed that quote in 6 minutes and found significant savings compared to the incumbent policy. We also did a seafood restaurant in Georgia, 1 mil, 2 mil GL, 1 mil, 2 mil liquor liability, about $1 million in property. Came into just shy of 15,000 annual premium. And they really used a lot of the sublimits and deductibles to create something tailored to that specific business, what they're concerned about, and what they needed. So I'd like to show these off. I think a lot of times folks will learn about our appetite and see the way our platform works, and they think, oh, this is amazing. I've got a home for my small policies now. But the reality is we can do some of the bigger ones as well. And it really takes about the same amount of time to work through those submissions. So last slide here, which I'll leave this up on the screen for a bit in case you want to screenshot this or copy down any of this contact information. We've built some great technology, which you've just seen in operation. But what makes MGT really special, and the reason we will eventually achieve world dominance, is we have a great human team to stand behind that tech anytime you need that extra level of support. So please always feel welcome to reach out. You've got all my contact info here. Annalise is actually busy right now helping agents get accounts over the finish line. She's going to be a great resource for you. She's one of your strongest advocates here. And especially for those of you who are getting up and running and starting to quote business, it will not be very long at all before you're hearing from her too. We've got the underwriting team. Their contact information's on the screen. We've got a support team. They are here just to help you achieve your goals. And then we've also got Amy, who we met at the beginning of this session together, who's a great resource for you. And she's available 24/7, 365 for all those appetite questions. So that was a lot of talking. I need to drink some water. If you've got any questions left, though, please hit us in the chat box, and we'll make sure to answer any of those questions before we sign out today.
Yeah, and as a quick note, while Dan is gulping down water to recover from this, I we strictly work through the independent agent channel. So everything that it is that you're seeing today is designed for you, right? So that's why when Dan mentioned earlier that we love when agents go through and validate everything, make sure that it's all correct. We realize that you're the frontline underwriter. You're the one who knows the insured. We create these tools. We make it as easy as possible for you to do your job. But at the end of the day, our job is to serve you. You are our customers, right? So go through and make sure that everything is good for your customers. And just know that anything that you need, any updates that you want to recommend to us, additional products that you like, we love that kind of feedback because you are our customer and we will make those changes. We will make everything better so that we can continue to serve you and your fellow colleagues in the industry. Dan, you recovered yet?
I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, we're
Awesome.
not getting any questions yet, so I'll ask my favorite question if it's all the same to you. Dan, what does MGT stand for?
That's a great question. I love when this one comes up. I think this afternoon MGT stood for Mighty Good Time. I know I've had one. I hope you have too. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking some of your time to join us today and learn more about MGT. If you enjoyed the show, please jump in the platform, run a couple quotes. Let me know did a good job. We're really excited to be working with you. Thanks so much for joining us, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Have a great day, folks.